All right. Hi, everyone. Coming to you from Montana. Snowy Montana. No space to rent in this town. You're out of luck. All right. So we are doing another AMA, February 26th. Here we are. I haven't had a chance yet to get on the slopes. Been here a few days. I guess my team has been keeping me too busy, but hopefully tomorrow and Sunday I'll get to do some snowboarding. That's what I do. Quick update. So we have a few guests with us today, and I'll introduce them in a minute. Also, plenty of updates. So for those of you who are kind of anxiously waiting for some updates, we have a lot of things to share with you today. And so let's bring up Trunshedda and Zach.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Wonderful. It's Friday. Time for the AMA.
So Zach is, where are you today? In Arizona, or where are you today?
I'm in beautiful Nevada.
Nevada.
It's not quite as fun and snowy up there, but I might need to make a trip to Montana here pretty soon.
And Trunshedda, who's heading our HR department, you're in Atlanta, right? Where are you today?
I am, but it's not that beautiful. It's gloomy and dreary, but I'm going to take it because the rain has stopped.
Right. So maybe tell everybody about yourself and when did you join the company? What do you do?
So I joined in August of 2020, and I was shocked and surprised because we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I thought I was going to surprise Alex with a fact about what number employee I was when I joined, but he knew it before I even got it out of my mouth. So in August when I joined, I was a 36th employee. We have far grown tremendously since then. But I came to Celsius from another larger corporation in the finance industry, a company called MCR. And I led HRBP organization there. It was a global team, but Celsius was calling my name. And I joined you guys in August. Been here, and it's been a wonderful ride. This flywheel has been spinning. I've fallen a few times, but the team helped me get back up, and we're rolling.
And you've helped us hire a lot of people, right? So definitely all this growth and a lot of the appreciation, both in the company and the Cell Token, you get a lot of credit for it because without all these people, we definitely have not been able to handle the growth. We're close to 500,000 users and billions and billions in assets. And so maybe, let's maybe share with viewers what are best practices on how do we choose people, and how do you select? Because a lot of the people watching us right now are kind of saying, how do I join Celsius? How do I become part of the team? How do I become an ambassador? So what are your, because you kind of see all that stuff coming in, right? You see every resume, every application. How do you decide if somebody is a good candidate, a good Celsian or not?
Well, so here's a wonderful thing about Celsius, and I think this is one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about the company is the energy from the community, the passion that we see from people in our community who love Celsius, who love what we do, and everything about us. So when we are looking through all of the thousands and thousands of emails and resumes that we get, we are looking for people who understand Celsius, who understand crypto. When I joined back in August, we were looking for people with the passion for Celsius. Now we've added on a few additional components. We want to take that passion and we want to look for people who can take it and actually put it into practical application on a day-to-day basis in the company and to help us to grow and scale. So that means it's really important that individuals are able to work in a team environment, to get work done quickly, efficiently, and to get things done right the first time around. So we've been adding on additional skill sets and things that we're looking for as the company has grown and scaled. You know, depending upon where you are in the company, the stage that we are, you look for different talent, right? Right now, the people we're looking for, we want them to be able to hit the ground running. So for example, if you're, if you're interested in marketing, and you come to us and you say, hey, I can help Celsius over here in this country, then what we're quickly looking for is, a sample of your work. You can teach us about Celsius and then help teach those in the community and those who aren't even yet a part of our community. If you're interested in, business development or sales, then we want to see you demonstrate the skills that would help close a deal. If it's finance or accounting, then, we want to look for the skills, detail-oriented. You're able to quickly analyze numbers, quickly put together reports. So in addition to saying that you're passionate about Celsius and you understand what we do, we're looking for demonstration of that passion in different ways. Videos, emails, different projects, presentations, which is one of the things that we actually utilize and search for with the job fair. It's been a wonderful thing.
Yeah, a lot of people, even though they're very skilled, right? They might be world experts at DeFi or a project manager, whatever. They're not really that good at writing a resume or showing their skills. And so listen very carefully to what Trunshedda is telling you, because there is basically there's the right way to present yourself or bring yourself and join this or that company, and there's the wrong way. And and if you don't know these rules, some other less qualified people are going to maybe get the job that you deserve. So definitely, like again, if you have DeFi skills or any experience in lending, or you're really a special problem solver, right? Either on the tech side or in other areas, or project or product management. Those are all areas that we're still looking to hire, all in about probably over 100 people. And last week, Trunshedda added 18 people last week and 12 people the week before. So that's how fast we're hiring right now, and definitely still looking for exceptional talent. So listen carefully to what she says. Again, you can watch it. We record this. So you can go back to YouTube and listen to it and look at your letter of introduction, your resume, or your kind of summary of skills, or your job like experience or examples of things you've done in the past, and think, how do you present this in the best way? So, and we'll show you, we've added something to our website in a minute.
Yep.
Of how we're going to make it really simple for you to go through this process. But before we jump in there, I just want to mention a few things, and then we'll get into the details. So, so it's February right now. I want all of you who are watching this to go and pull your December 2020 credit card statement. And I'm sure many of you have 4 or 5 of them. So go and find that statement or download it from your credit card provider, right? If you are paperless, right, you got to get that down. And by law, the credit card companies have to show you the total you paid in interest for the year, right? So usually it's going to be on the last page, and it's going to be small print. The last thing they want to show you, or they want you to see, is how much money you gave them over the entire year, right? Because every month they show you that number and you're like, it's only $87. It's only $250. But at the end of the year, you will see that you've paid thousands of dollars, in some cases tens of thousands of dollars, of your hard-earned money to the credit card companies, right? And so instead of that money working for you and creating yield, earning on your behalf, this is money that they charged you. And again, it's a compounding interest. Compounding interest works both ways, when you owe it and when you earn on it. So in this case, you're paying 18, 20, 24%, right, to these credit card companies because you had this impulse buy, or you thought you can afford something that you couldn't afford. and so on. So look at it very carefully, because you will see, most people are surprised at how big those bills are. And what I want you to do is really think to yourself, how do you eliminate that bill, right? If you can eliminate the credit card bill, that is the amount of savings you will have every year, right? All that money that now disappears from your wallet, disappears from your checking account, or from your basically life, could be basically reappearing and earning interest, right? So instead of being a negative, it becomes a positive. And again, you can take a loan from Celsius, or you can just take the next paycheck and pay down the credit card. But the point is to eliminate that debt, right? I mean, we live in a world where you can't earn even 1% in interest, and yet the banks are charging you the highest rates they've ever charged in history, right? The rates, while interest rates have come down, banks remarkably have managed to increase what they charge the average American or the average European. So definitely do yourself a favor and pay it down. And it's small changes like this one that really going to make a huge impact to your life. Because again, you think about 10 or 20 years and you're looking at that money that it could have been compounding for you, earning 12% instead of costing you 20. And that makes a huge, huge difference. So just wanted to mention that because, most of you already have these statements. So it's a good time to kind of look at last year and look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really doing what's in your own best interest? Also, we're going to, we talked a little about self-insurance, so that's making progress. The card program, making progress, swap, all of that stuff is coming up. But I wanted to mention one more thing that we're going to do, which is basically allow you to co-invest with Celsius. So in the next few months, we'll be adding a new feature, which you'll be able to basically go and elect, just like you elect to have insurance, for example, you'll be able to elect to co-invest with Celsius. So all kind of projects that we're working on, you can basically choose to take 1% or 5%, whatever percent of your portfolio, and put it to work, not necessarily just earning interest, but actually creating value in other ways. So if it's our mining business, or if it's other areas, you can effectively buy into that. And basically, just like you're sitting side by side on the bus with me, with your Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you bought into the Celsius equity, you'll be able to also invest in some of these projects. So again, we're working on the details. We'll be publishing that, but I just wanted to mention it today. And another big announcement is that we've told you that we're working on many ways to create more yield on the Cell token. And I'm happy to announce that a top 10 project, one of the top 10 coins, has chosen to partner with us. So we'll be deploying the first $50 million. And then additional hundreds of millions of dollars to basically create more yield for the Celsius community. And you will start seeing movement in our Cell token treasury, meaning until now, we have not touched the treasury. So when you see Celsius owns about just over 300 million tokens, Cell tokens, and normally we show you, hey, look, this wallet has not been touched in almost 3 years, and Celsius is not selling any tokens and so on. You will start seeing movement there, but none of those tokens are going to exchanges. They're not going to be sold on this and that exchange. All these tokens are being serving as collateral or earning yield, and you will see some movement. So I wanted to mention that because obviously it's a very important thing for the people in the community that are watching every move and every aspect of what we do every day. So
Alex, to go deeper into that, we have this the company has this huge position in Cell token, right? And it's been mostly dormant now. And this is what you said internally a lot, is we're now beginning to unlock the value of those tokens and generate yield that was never generated before. So this is going to be net new revenue by people accepting Cell token as collateral, which is a monumental step forward.
Right, and the yield on the Cell token will go up or down based on our ability to generate such income. So like Zach said, it's obviously a very good thing for the Celsius community, and you can actually see how many of these tokens are deployed. And we've already done several transactions. I think we have something like 46 million already deployed. It just didn't come from the main treasury account. But now that we're going to do larger and larger transaction, we're going to start dipping into those accounts and use it mostly for collateral. All right, great. So Trunshedda, why don't you share with us that screen and show people how to apply and what they need to do, and explain to them since you put it together.
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of the questions and things that are coming up in the chat. And I've talked about this, on, other live streams and with some of our other community members and during the job fair. When, we're getting the emails that are coming in, we're getting thousands and thousands of these emails that we're trying to sort through. So what we've done is, and we're doing this, really, especially for our community, we've created a site on our careers page on Celsius.network. You scroll down to careers, and if you scroll down, there's a highlight right there where it says Celsius opportunities. This is a position that we've created for our community, and it will allow you to click on that link. You're able to apply just for any opportunity. You'll click apply, and then it allows you to put in your contact information. You can put in notes. It also will allow you to tell us what you're interested in, which department, which function. This is going to help us to be more responsive, to follow back up with you, and also to better analyze and review your experience, your skills, your interests, to see where you're, where there's an opportunity that may be a good fit for you.
Trunshedda,
yeah.
If I'm an ambassador, I've been following Celsius for a year now. I've got some skills that I'm not sure you guys need. This is my opportunity to go to the website and say, hey, this is about me. This is what I can do. This is what I enjoy doing, and put me basically on Celsius's radar and part of that talent pool that we can pull from.
Correct. And what this does is it allows us to quickly review what you send to us. You provide your contact information, email address, and from our system, we're able to email you back. We're able to set up a time for us to talk. And then also I can quickly share that information with the hiring manager. So the whole point in doing this and trying to automate it is so that we can respond and get back to people quicker, and that we can quickly, assess where you would be a good fit. And then we can actually retain this. So if there's not an immediate opportunity right now here today, then we can have your information stored here. We can come back and look at it because an opportunity may come up 2 weeks from now. If, we hired, it was a total of 18 people that started on Monday. I have about 10 people already scheduled to start next Monday on the 1st. Over the next couple of weeks, we have about 20 more people, starting with us. So new opportunities are being created every day as we grow. We need more and more people, different skills, skill levels, and we're going to be looking out in the community for all of these additional people that we need to bring on board. In addition to those who will apply.
Right, and the better you are at describing your skills, or again, linking to your work experience or the code you created or a website or an example of a product you built or anything like that, right? The more information you provide, the easier it is for us to find you, qualify you, and get you going, right? So we're going exceptionally well. We're growing faster and faster. So we're hiring faster and faster. And this is your opportunity. So definitely use this process and let us know if you think there's a way for us to make it even better. But I think that's definitely much better than just sending this or that resume. So a few other quick updates. We're going to have maintenance on Sunday. So for 1 hour on Sunday, 11 a.m. UTC, basically there's going to be a halt to withdrawals, and just this is us and one of our providers, Fireblocks, doing some upgrades. Nothing to worry about, all routine stuff, and we should be done with it in less than an hour. Also, again, the new version, the 4.8 version is out. It has a lot of new stuff, including basically all new non-Americans earning automatically in Cell. So that dramatically increases the number of people who are earning in Cell. You're going to start seeing those numbers crank up real fast, because each week we're adding over 1,000 people a day right now. Well, more than that.
Yeah,
right?
looking at that earn and sell number, I think it jumped up from 54.1 to 54.2 in just the last day. So all those new users, those 3 or 4 or 5,000 people joining a day, are now automatically earning in Cell token.
Right. So again, more demand for Cell is good for everybody, and that's one of the reasons we've done it. Again, each one of you who have that, you can still go to your settings and change it back to earning kind or anything else you want. It's not mandatory, it's optional, but we just changed the default settings to make it easier, because a lot of people kind of were saying to us, I didn't even know I wasn't earning in Cell. I thought automatically you guys allowed me to earn in Cell. So that's one of those. We have a special guest who's going to be joining us in a few minutes. Since we are the second largest asset manager, we decided to invite the second largest crypto YouTuber with us. So let's see, we'll give $100 to whoever in the chat, first one to guess who that is. Second largest YouTuber. Don't forget to put your referral code so we know how to.
I'm watching it now. What do we got? Who is the second largest YouTuber or crypto YouTuber? Also, please like and share this video. Here come the comments in. Oh, we got it. I think we got it here. Here it is, bringing it up on screen. Oh, I think again, the program cannot handle Alex when you shout out to the community.
We destroyed the chat bot. Yeah.
Crashing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go through. So we have a winner or no? Because I want to mention the name.
Yeah, we got a winner. I'm trying to show it on screen.
Okay,
but,
good.
There it is. There it is.
So today's special guest is Nicholas Merten. Is one of our partners. Is partner with Celsius. So let's bring him on. I've been following DataDash. He's also known as DataDash. I've been following Nicholas for a long time. Definitely love his analysis of the market and commentary, and very active participant in the community. And he's about to crash 400,000 users. He's at 395,000. So I want all of you to go to YouTube and subscribe to his channel so we can get him across 400,000. And forever we can say, Nicholas, we got you over 400,000. Without Celsius, you would never have gotten there. No, I'm just kidding. But so for those of you who don't know, Nicholas has launched a wallet, and Celsius is one of the yield sources that the wallet offers. So we've partnered. It's already a year, or it's less than a year?
And it almost feels like it. Yeah, I think we're coming up pretty much on a year since we actually did the direct integration. And Alex, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to get to still keep in contact with you all these years. You're a great friend, and it's a pleasure to be here on the AMA, guys, as well as get to meet you. It's been a while. The thing is, doing the YouTube channel for the last couple of years, I had a really great opportunity to kind of go forward and create my own kind of cryptocurrency startup, and wanted to kind of take my own approach at building a cryptocurrency wallet that kind of streamlined the whole DeFi or open finance space. And I was a big fan of Celsius back in the day. I remember, Alex, back at like Consensus in 2019, I'd kind of talked about the brief idea for a quick minute where I could capture you, and you were kind of getting ready, I think, for a speech or presentation. And it was really cool just to talk to you and Stani and a lot of people in the crypto space about that idea early on. And now we're hearing stuff. We're seeing DeFi at the center of everything, which is pretty cool, because back in 2017, I was kind of caught up on that conviction that finance was going to be the use case for this space. So I'm very excited to see that you guys are doing incredibly well. And to all the Celsians out there, you're in good hands with Alex and the team.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on your channel as well. I was there several times, right? So over the last few years. So you're in Prague right now, right? Where are you located?
So I'm generally going through Europe at the moment. Right now I just made a major move over from the US, but basically I'm long term. What's really nice about with our company and what we're doing is everyone's kind of remote. So most of our team is based out of the States, and it's been going really good. The move has been nice as well. It's been nice to change things up, especially in this world where everything's remote. Kind of makes sense to do it. But yeah, no, I was thinking back to a point you brought up, Alex, about when we first spoke. It was back in, I think, around April of 2018. I know we had you on. You were, I think, the second guest we had for the Dash cast. In that case, it was a little podcast series that I did for some time. And yeah, it was one of the most interesting ones. And that was my first time actually getting to chat with you, hearing a little bit about Celsius. I think it was still kind of the early days of the project at the time. And man, it's incredible to think over nearly almost 3 years since I think we first spoke and stuff. And I mean, to see where things are right now is pretty incredible.
Right. Yeah. And the community has made obviously a huge progress since. But like you said, I mean, we really only have two killer apps. One is the store of value, and the other one is yield, right? So, and we were just in the infancy of that. I mean, a lot of people think it's already a mature industry or anything like that. I mean, we launched yield in June. We were the first ones, right? June 2018. To launch the ability to earn on Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now there's probably 100 projects that are doing it, but still it's nothing. It's like few years compared to finance that existed for several thousand years, but Bitcoin, let's focus on that. Bitcoin is the on-ramp for basically almost everybody who's coming into this industry, right? And we've seen, besides retail, we've recently seen corporate and institutional adoption. What's your view on kind of like where are we headed?
Yeah, one thing I always like to think back on, Alex, because the timing was pretty crazy. I happened to be in New York when I was talking to Wasim and Leah from Celsius, and I think a month later in April we did an episode on I think it was one of the Celsius AMAs that you did back in April 2020, and this was coming in at that time where obviously the world had been shocked by a pandemic. And therefore, we went on to seeing central banks respond with really excessive monetary policy. It took a couple months, but I think after the micro strategies of the world really started to come out and showcase that Bitcoin could serve as a treasury reserve asset, it's really started to shift the narrative, especially when you got a company like Tesla coming on board, putting in a higher single digit range of their cash reserves into an asset like Bitcoin. That $1 billion plus buy order, $1.5 billion. Really kind of sets the stage here where on this dip, we're going to have to really see whether or not more companies come in. But I think, going back to that kind of broader macro discussion from what we chatted about back in April, we've got this world here, like you mentioned, where interest rates are excessively low and everyone is basically looking to park excessive amounts of capital, record amounts. We had a 25% increase in the total amount of dollars in circulation back in 2020 alone, the biggest ever increase in the United States and its history, and similar in the Eurozone and a lot of other regions across the world. And you've got all this cash, all these euros, all this fiat currency, and it's a matter of where can you actually go to park it? Because we're in a bit of a dilemma here. There's really three areas you could traditionally put money in traditional financial markets that would protect you in this case, outside of the assets of the world. You've got savings accounts, you've got CDs or money market accounts, and government bonds or US treasuries. These are really the three major asset classes. And if you take the total amount of wealth that's locked up in these three brackets of the world of finance, you're talking about a market that's bigger than $200 trillion, 200 trillion plus now probably with all the capital creation that happened in 2020. So this is where something like Bitcoin, again, even if you're viewing things in a conservative sense, but in a macro perspective, something long-term, if you're looking at the next 5 to 10 years, it's not crazy to think that Bitcoin could capture, 5%, 10% of that market share, possibly even more. And if you're talking about that, you're talking about trillions upon trillions of dollars of value awaiting Bitcoin and other digital assets in the crypto space. So my general projection, I've had for a while is somewhere around 100K to 200K. It's quite a big spread for this cycle, but it makes sense considering the fact that at those valuations, Bitcoin as an asset fits right into that kind of category of kind of an emerging store of value, a multi-trillion-dollar valuation between $2 to $4 trillion at that point. So that's my kind of whole rationale. I know I rambled on a bit there, but it kind of encompasses what we talked about, Alex. And I think it's amazing to see it's finally shaping up. A bit of it, I think, is a bit of FOMO and excitement, but I think that we're seeing the kind of realization of the ability of Bitcoin to serve as that treasury asset, being completely finite in its supply.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're at about $1.5 trillion total market cap for all digital assets, and that is just the tip of the iceberg, right? I mean, the central banks are actually doing the work for us, because many countries now have negative rates, and negative rate means that the central bank is pushing you to put the money to work somewhere. They're basically saying, if you just keep it in your bank, it's going to cost you between 0.5% and 0.75%. Most of Europe, for example, or Switzerland or Japan and so on, are charging you money to keep your money in the account, right?
Yeah.
So they want you to put it to work, build a new building or start a new company, or put it into a productive asset like Bitcoin or Ethereum, where you can actually earn yield that you cannot earn on your fiat. So in a funny way, even though you hear Lagarde and some of the other people saying bad, and Janet Yellen is yelling about how bad Bitcoin is, at the same time, they are the ones driving all these assets towards crypto. And today, unfortunately, you can't just jump from dollars into DeFi. There's no such highway. It's not like there's an exit on the highway. It says DeFi, turn left here, whatever, right? So you really need to build bridges and make it simple for people. And that's one of the things you've built, right? Your application, our application, these are all things that create bridges between the centralized world and the decentralized world. And I agree with you. I think the month of February has definitely been a watershed event from a timing standpoint, because we've never had so many rich people and famous people and smart people and some of the world's best investors kind of come out for the first time, right? Bankers and CEOs of major international banks or analysts basically come and recommend at record scale. And that's what pushed kind of Bitcoin just over 60,000. And we have a little bit of a top off kind of steam. We let some steam off, but I think we're probably headed to new highs. I agree with you. My estimate was a high of 160,000 this year, but unfortunately, I think we're going to close the year at below 100,000, just because too much momentum and not enough. It's going to take us time to basically create all of this onboarding capabilities.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, generally speaking, my target is actually for a little bit of a longer time frame. I've been one of the more kind of, not per se pessimistic, but I try to keep my estimations as conservative as possible. And with that 100K to 200K target, I've actually been a believer of something known as the expanding cycle theory, which is that from bottom to top for each market cycle, we've been expanding around anywhere from 11 to 13 months. So they've been getting longer. And I think that, with the kind of momentum that we've seen, you're right. I think we might be seeing a kind of a period of stagnation here, where there is, again, that kind of still uncertainty in this case of whether or not Bitcoin is really going to be this major asset that every company is going to have to start to go after. I think Tesla kind of shifted the narrative a lot closer to that. But I think this is going to be something that well into 2022, that's when we're going to be setting our highs in this case, especially if we have that period, like you mentioned, where investors start to get to this point where it's like, what? We've got a lot of fluff right now, a lot of excitement coming in after some big names, but can it really follow through? Can it actually be that corporate treasure asset and maintain that $1 trillion valuation? Because the moment we got up there, that's where we actually got shot down, was when we got above $1 trillion in value. So yeah, and you pointed out something as well, Alex, like that I always point to people, because people get really scared of the volatility and they don't look at things really in a macro perspective. And that's the best way you can view things, is that we're going through yet another cycle. And a lot of people wonder, are we in the early stages or the late stages of this? I really think that we're still technically on a valuation basis. We're still in the first, kind of half of this cycle. We're starting to see a lot of the people, even, Michael Saylor, you mentioned earlier, used to be one of the biggest pessimists about Bitcoin, turning over and converting his entire balance sheet for his company MicroStrategy to Bitcoin. Now you've got people like, people who probably a lot of people watching know about Mark Cuban. You've got Mr. Wonderful. There's footage and there's topics of them constantly bashing on crypto, saying it wasn't going to work. And now you see Mark Cuban talking about the latest NFT projects. You see, again, Mr. Wonderful talking about how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies might be a potential asset class. There's all types of people coming to the forefront now and starting to realize the value of this market. They're not going to miss on this. You still have.
Cool.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's cool to talk about Bitcoin. Right?
To be long crypto, yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into DeFi, for example. I know you have expressed a lot of opinions. Obviously, you're involved in the space. You've covered a bunch of projects, and what I see, and it kind of concerns me, is like yesterday, I think, or the day before, when Ethereum was crashing, it cost $800 to move something on the Ethereum network, and obviously only the very wealthy or the people who manage large amounts of assets could afford to do that, right? If you have a few $1,000s and it's going to cost you $800 to move, you basically obviously not going to do your transaction, and you're going to lose that opportunity to buy Ethereum at the bottom or whatever. But what we're seeing is also Binance and other chains are effectively taking advantage of it and creating centralized versions of DeFi and copying Uniswap and Compound and Aave and all these other projects, and effectively launching that just with names like Pancake and whatever. So for the people who don't know, maybe dig into a little bit into kind of like what's the state of DeFi, what's working, what's not working, what can we do better, and let's dig into that.
Yeah, to speak on that, Alex, it hits home for us because a lot of our applications in this case, Celsius is one of them in this case, and Celsius actually has been operating, quite swimmingly in this case, because as you guys are a centralized custodian in this case, holding the assets, it's withdrawals and deposits, basically very simple functionality. But when it comes to interacting with some of the other elements inside the Digifox app, like if you want to have a self-custodial wallet, like a smart contract wallet, which we offer, which allows you to use your phone and email to basically manage your wallet, and you don't need seed phrases. The problem with that is that has to be deployed on the blockchain. So that can cost, depending on where gas fees are and stuff, an astronomical amount of money, sometimes 50, 100, 150 bucks now with how high the gas fees have gotten. And we've gotten to the point where we actually are going to be turning off that feature temporarily because it just doesn't make sense for people to pay anywhere near that kind of cost to generate a wallet. Outside of that as well, and doing Uniswap trades, you mentioned the high gas fees, making swaps cost 50, 100, 150, 200 bucks, or hundreds of bucks in this case, even just to do transfers on the network when, the GUI or gas price shoots up extremely high. Now, to just kind of step back in this case and talk a little bit for those out there who might not be as in-depth in DeFi, it's totally normal. It might kind of be complex at first. To just explain the situation that Alex is talking about, right now within the Ethereum network, every transaction that you do, even when you're making a deposit to Celsius or withdrawal to Celsius, or you're interacting with another application like Uniswap, which we have natively integrated within Digifox, the problem here is that everything is being settled on-chain. So, in this case, for example, in a traditional bank, you might be able to change over a ledger in a very cheap internal system where their ledger of who owns what is siloed. But on the Ethereum blockchain, every single thing is being verified by thousands of computers across the world and thousands of miners who are actually putting in an economic cost to validate those transactions. And, when Uniswap started to grow up, which is basically a decentralized exchange, a more technical term would be automated market maker, but it's a decentralized exchange that allows you to swap from one token to another. There's a bit of a dilemma. The application got a ton of traffic, so it consumed a lot of the potential bandwidth of the Ethereum network, rising the cost of transactions. But you've also got a double negative here, because the swaps, so the activity that you're doing through Uniswap, is time sensitive as market values are changing, and you are agreeing to a specific range on your trade. You need to get that approved in a certain amount of time, or your transaction gets ditched and you got to resubmit it. So people started outbidding one another constantly on Uniswap to get their swaps cleared in order to go from one token to another, maybe to go into a stable coin or another cryptocurrency. And it shot up gas fees to, as Alex alluded, only being able to be paid for by very wealthy or high-end traders within the crypto space. So now this starts to kind of demean or break down a lot of the narrative of decentralized finance. And it leaves a question of whether or not Ethereum is going to be able to actually scale. So I got to say, to this topic, I know there's some people who are very fiery about this. I know for the Celsius community, there's a lot of our Cardano fans, for example. There's fans of the Binance Smart Chain, these kind of alternative chains that have popped up or have been around for some time and are now finally deploying on mainnet and bringing smart contract functionality like Ethereum. I think that there's a real opportunity for them to steal the show here. And I even say that as someone who's built in the Ethereum ecosystem. The only reason I say this is because I take a look at, for example, Bitcoin, and I look at things like Lightning Network, which were preached for years that it was going to be the ultimate solution, that it would pave the way for Bitcoin to still be able to be used for payments or for cheap transactions. And to be fair, you look at the total value locked up. I know a lot of people who worked on Lightning. They've worked extremely hard to make it happen. Most people aren't using it. It's just not a user-friendly technology, or the user experience is not extremely smooth. And the same questions are still up in the air about optimistic rollups or ZK rollups, all of these proposed layer 2 solutions that are supposed to help carry us over until we get towards the big network upgrade of ETH 2.0. That's probably a year to 2 years out before we start realizing any scaling benefits and therefore any decline of fees. So if we can see Uniswap move over to layer 2 properly, if we can start to see Optimism or other scaling solutions, let these protocols, these technologies on the layer 1 or Ethereum move to layer 2 and still interoperate with one another, and then have Ethereum as the settlement layer, perhaps we might be able to get DeFi back to a time where we used to be able to do swaps for a couple cents to $1 and generate smart contract wallets for $1 to $3. It was so much cheaper back then, but nowadays it's just become unpractical for users. So again, centralized finance is stepping back in.
No, I agree with you, and I feel almost like like Binance is pulling a sushi swap kind of vampire attack on Ethereum itself, and even the avid kind of Ethereum supporters are realizing that we can't do anything. So you've been around for a while. You've seen the CryptoKitties kind of surge, which is kind of equivalent to what we're seeing now, where we clog the network with transactions, and it's kind of now we're just calling it DeFi, and back then it was NFTs. But what's the difference between this kind of wave of adoption and the 2017? Because you've been both, and obviously. So I wanted you to share kind of your thoughts on what's the differences. What is the good? What is the bad? What we can do better between the two different waves of adoption?
Yeah, you brought up a very good point there, Alex. So there are some very distinct dichotomies between the craziness of 2017 and the craziness we're living through. First off, we're not at that CryptoKitties phase just yet, where we have like rampant retail speculation in the market, and that won't come, especially in DeFi, if gas fees remain the way that they are on Ethereum, or at least it'll be on another blockchain. But I want to mention something here, that in that cycle, what was really clogging up the network in this case wasn't any real valid application, and it was mainly focused around retail traders or everyday people, in this case, going on and speculating and buying up these digital assets. Where this time around, we've actually got a real use case. The one thing I will say is that, to be fair, as one valid argument that some people, kind of the Ethereum community makes, is that they kind of joke when people say no one's using Ethereum right now because the fees are too high, because it's a bit of an oxymoron, or a bit ironic, because the fees are high because someone's paying that quote, they're paying that price to get their transactions validated. But as you mentioned, Alex, it's mostly institutional. It's people who actually have sizable capital, whales, larger traders, hedge funds, people who are starting to delve into the DeFi space. And I have no doubt that on the Celsius side as well, you guys have been seeing a large amount of institutional clients as well. That's basically what we're seeing right now. And until Ethereum gets those layer 2 scaling opportunities on board, again, we're not going to be able to see that same exact level of freedom for retail participants in the market. So that's, again, where Binance might step in. Cardano, all these other blockchains, Solana, there's a lot of solutions hovering out there. But
right, and the good news is that Celsius has managed to extract a lot of that value on behalf of the community. I always mention that Celsius is not a neutral player like Uniswap or Compound. They're neutral. They don't represent borrower or lender. They don't represent buyer or seller. Right? They're just a platform that everybody can use. And in many cases, the small investor is pinned against an institution on the other side, and you have to know if you're doing a fair transaction or not. Celsius aggregates 500,000 users, many of them who don't know anything about DeFi or even crypto. They're just kind of trusting us to represent their best interests and extract as much value on the other side. So to mention that what's a lot of this volume, a lot of the people who are paying $150 are actually market makers who effectively are trading Uniswap on one side and the exchanges on the other side, right? Because when you buy something or sell something on Uniswap, you effectively move the price, and it immediately represents an opportunity or an arb opportunity against this or that exchange. And what Celsius does is it lends these assets to the market makers, to the arbitrageurs, for them to take advantage, and basically they normalize the market, but through normalization, they effectively create transactions. So what we get is we get the fees that they pay us, the interest income that they pay us to perform those functions. And the good news is that all this activity on Ethereum, all this activity on DeFi is translating into, again, 12% on stablecoins, for example, in a very consistent way. So even though DeFi rates go up and down, Celsius has been very, very stable and consistent in how much it pays on all the different things. So it's important for people to understand, because a lot of people ask me, well, how can you deliver these yields? Where are you earning it? How are you making this? And we operate not just in the DeFi world. We operate in the institutional world, on the exchange world. We lend also to retail, right? So we have 4 or 5 legs to the stool, where most of the other projects have only 1 or 2. And that creates a more stable and long-term yield. And I think even today, still we have so many people who are kind of saying it's impossible. Well, it's been 3 years, So, and now we have copycats everywhere. But I just saw the numbers this morning: $367 million paid in interest. $367 million. That's more, I think, than all of our competitors put together. So
I want to take a moment, Alex, just to step back from 2018, because I got to say, I've always looked up to what you've been doing and stuff, and I know we've been good friends since then. Did you ever think it would happen this quick, to see Celsius grow to this level? And I know you've gone through the rounds and stuff with founding companies before, but I'm just curious, where are you at right now and stuff? How are you feeling? You've done a really great job scaling out Celsius.
So look, I would love to take credit myself. We have several hundred people working for us. They do all the work. I just talk about it. And we have 500,000 customers who are entrusting us with almost $10 billion. That is really the magic. The magic is this community coming together and saying, you will build it and we will come. And here are our assets, and you deliver it. We'll give you even more. And in the first 2 months of this year, we're not even done with February, but in the first 2 months of this year, we already done more business, more transactions, more yield than in all of 2020. So, it's just crazy, right? Crazy growth. And we have Trunshedda here with us. We have Zach. We have all these people, Tom, other people who are working with around the clock, right, to help us basically just manage this torrent growth. And again, it's not that we're so good, right? It's that the banks and the financial institutions are so bad in giving their customers what they deserve, right? Yield and ability to make income. Like you said, yes, they do probably a good job on stocks and other assets, but they're definitely not doing a good job with yield.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. It's the thing I always mention to people overall is that you were the first person that I talked to in the space that actually talked about that gap. Out of all the hatred for banks and the cryptocurrency space, it was really ironic how people never spent time to talk about that spread of what the borrower pays and what the bank makes, and along with that as well, what they paid the depositor. I'd always tried to bring that up with people, and it never seemed like a contingent point that people wanted to challenge. They were more focused on kind of building a digital gold through Bitcoin, or building a world supercomputer like Ethereum. And I think that was one of the clear things, the yield, and also being able to do, on the other end of the equation, bringing down borrowing rates, hopefully for consumers and everyday people, squeezing the middle rate in this case of what the bank usually makes. I used to do, and I still do to this day, traditional equities investing. So I'll invest in companies, things of the like. And the thing that I always found amazing is that they would put out their public financials. And while banks are paying nothing on savings accounts, you can go see JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. You can look at European banks, in this case, Deutsche Bank, Commerce Bank, HSBC, any commercial bank you can think of. Most of the US banks and European banks in this case are making some degree of profit. And it's usually much, much higher. Sometimes in most US commercial banks, some of the large giants, they're making 15, 20, 25% on a quarterly basis. They're not making that out of thin air. They're making it off of what their depositors should be getting paid. So again, it's about squeezing that margin. And I agree with you. I think, as you mentioned, the yield was kind of the next best product here in the crypto space. And it really will be a question here of whether or not we can get here in the next year or two to building an on-ramp that's actually going to scale it to millions of people outside of the community that we've already built in crypto. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go, Alex. I think that we've got a ways to go in the fight, but I'm certain we'll be able to get there. We've already come a pretty long way in making it happen.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we are hitting limits on Ethereum, on Bitcoin, on some of the other projects. But it's like you said, I mean, there is so much innovation. I've never in my life seen so much innovation happening so fast. And the passion, the young people who are leaving jobs at Google and Microsoft and some of the best companies in the world to come and work in DeFi, which is shocking. Like, it's just, even in the, I've lived through the 2000 boom, the .com boom, and we didn't have it like this, right? So this a massive amount of innovation is really the future of the financial system, and no centralized bank or centralized institution can compete with that, right? Because we have basically forks of forks happening every day with people just incrementally improving on anything that has been created to date, and it's all open source, right? So yes, there are issues, there's bugs, there's hacks, there is rug pulls, but overall, I think the vast majority of the community is doing amazing job and creating, again, something that all of us, our children, will be able to use, right? And so really excited about that. And again, we are a very large participant in it, not just in the lending space. We are one of the largest users of Aave and Compound and other projects. So we help. We only deal with the more, I would say, more established project, because it's too much risk for us to put,
right,
$100 million on a brand new protocol. So we leave that we wait for it to be audited and maybe be whatever, a year old and so on, and then we kind of start participating on it. But I wanted to touch also on NFTs, because it's definitely an up and comer. Again, we have CryptoKitties. It kind of died off. It was quiet for a while, and now there's a lot of excitement in the community. So wanted to hear your opinions. I also have some opinions on it, but you go first.
Yeah, it's always an important question to ask in that case, Alex, when you've got an old technology or an old trend coming back. Is it here to actually stay? Is there something different this time around? Because to be fair, that's the same thing. It interests me in this case overall. That's the same exact trend we saw with Bitcoin, where years I'd watched in this case, it went down, had a bear market, and then it comes back and everyone's raging about it again. So it's an important question. So for NFTs personally, it's definitely not my field of expertise. But what I can say about NFTs, or for those who may not know, NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. Think of them as collectibles in this case. I could create 100 NFTs or unique NFTs that might be a certain baseball card of a certain athlete, or in the case of one that I saw the other day, which actually got me quite excited, was a new project that was launched in partnership with the NBA called NBA Shot. I think it was NBA Shot or something like that, or something along those lines. And basically what they do is they have the digital NFT, which is a token on a blockchain like Ethereum, and it's tied to some kind of digital art or collection. So it could be a painting, it could be a video, or in the case of the NBA, I think it's NBA Top Shot is the actual name. They actually have videos that are select moments from where athletes make these really cool shots that were legendary moves in the industry and basketball. And I think they're going to probably bring it to other sports soon. but that there's only, a certain number of these moments, maybe even just one in this case, and the market, starts to value them like traditional collectibles. I got to tell you, I'm not one that's really big in traditional collectibles, and that's why for me it's a bit difficult to get the value proposition of NFTs. But at the same time, I understand there is a market for it. I understand the gaming market, for example. I know that there's digital skins for games like Counter-Strike or League of Legends, all these major games out there that people spend tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars on. So again, it's really a matter of whether or not people find value in it, just like any market. Bitcoin's only value proposition is that someone's willing to pay a price for it. That's the really incredible thing at the end of the day with any market. So I would say that the thing that makes me feel a bit limited with NFTs is I haven't seen that kind of mass market scale NFT project, kind of like how CryptoKitties changed the game back in 2017. I almost feel silly saying that. But I think as we start to see some layer 2 scalability, there might be an opportunity for a major brand to really make a, kind of a prime time NFT brand. The other element of NFTs that I would say are quite exciting, which is probably boring to most, is an NFT to represent actual, entitlements to certain things. But again, as I think we talked about, Alex, overall, maybe you have a bond, you could have a house or mortgage, in this case, tokenized as an NFT. The problem is that you need some kind of legal authority to actually respect that NFT and a whole process and procedure that meets within the traditional code of law. So that's where there's a little bit of limitations. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on it, Alex? Like from the things I just chatted over.
So first, I think we're still experimenting, meaning it's not like you look at what exists today and you say, well, let's measure or let's decide if it's going to live or die. And then NFT, the amount of, again, experimentation in NFT equals or maybe even exceeds DeFi overall. So what I think is that there's definitely room, and again, just to explain non-fungible tokens, in Ethereum, for example, if there's 100 million Ethereum tokens, they're all exactly the same. Every ETH is equal to every other ETH, right? But NFT, basically, each one is a unique representation that it can never be duplicated, forked, or replicated in any other mechanism, right? So I think there's definitely room in the ecosystem, in the total crypto ecosystem, to have the traditional digital currencies, security tokens, or coins, and then NFTs. Those are kind of the three main families that I think all applying or vying for a killer app, right? Looking for a killer app. So I think we're just at the very early innings of it, and a lot of smart people. And I think gaming is definitely one of those like obvious applications that I think is going to take off. And we just need to figure out some things and have the gaming companies kind of adopt NFTs. Right now, it's all of this NFT stuff is happening outside of these mega gaming companies. So it's early days, and I think as more and more of the people out there are going to get comfortable or aware of these capabilities and how they can engage the community with it, we're going to see mass adoption. And again, we may find out that the next 100 million people are all gamers who showed up and wanted to get new skins and new swords, and like my kids are crazy about that, right? So we'll see where it comes from.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the one point that you noted there, Alex, by mentioning the reference to gaming assets, I think that NFTs really thrive in being able to showcase real digital ownership of assets that always have to purely be digital. So if you're talking about in-game items, they're never going to be physical in the real world. If you're talking about, for example, that NBA Top Shot example where it's a video, you're likely not going to have a video hologram card that you walk around with. It's going to be something that's entirely digital. So I think and then NFTs are the next big thing. But again, I'm still with you on this in the sense that I'm much more of a finance head in this case, where I'm thinking about yield, thinking about hedging against the multi-trillion-dollar saving and bonds market. So very excited to see what's going to happen in the long run.
Right, and they're all scaling in parallel. We don't need one of them to win. We need all of them to win, right? So store of value in Bitcoin is still the granddaddy of all of it. Yield is something, like you said, that can attract hundreds of billions of dollars. And today there's probably something a little bit less than 50 billion in total locked up in yield. We're about 10 of that. But I think this is just the beginning. And, we'd love to, we'll bring you back and we'll compare notes to see how did our predictions and projections have worked out. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time. Keep doing the great work you're doing, educating people, bringing people into crypto. Obviously, you wouldn't get to 400,000 followers if you were not doing something special. And again, I met you with your dad, I think the first time in person in one of those conferences, and just looking at the pride in his eyes. I mean, you definitely at least made one person proud, So love to have you here, and we'll have you back. We'll have you back at the beginning of the year when we can compare notes on the 2021 stats.
Alex, absolutely, man. It was a pleasure getting to see you again. Thank you for having me. And to all the Celsians out there, keep saving, keep hodling. And Alex, thank you again for having me on. It's always great to see you, man.
Sure. All right, great. So thanks, Nicholas, again. And let's just go quickly through some of these updates, and then we'll answer all your questions. I know there's a lot of people with pent-up questions, so I'm sharing my screen. For those of you who speak French, guess what? Parlez français, you can now look at the site in French. If you go all the way to the bottom, you can toggle now between, wow, there's so much to look here, between French, Spanish, or English. And obviously, choose your best language. Also, we have many other resources under the community page. So under the community translation page right here, there's many other languages as well, but at least you can interact with the site in your language. So a lot of great content here in many different languages, and you can just choose the menu here and look at all the different options. Again, all of this is created by our community. So we want to thank everyone who has worked for us to create all of this. If you haven't seen, I published an article, an op-ed on the NASDAQ that talks about why cryptocurrency is eating the world. So if you hadn't had a chance to look at it or read it, just do a quick Google search for this title. Can crypto be taxed like gold? Again, this was Kitco. As you know, I've done a lot of interviews with Kitco, and this was an article that Anna did focused on Bitcoin versus gold and taxation. So definitely a good read. Another Decrypt article here, if you missed it, definitely talking about how big this business can get. And obviously Celsius is leading this business. And again, another article about how to use Bitcoin for lending. Next is another review here that talks about some of the latest stuff that's happening in crypto. So we were mentioned here as well. And if you didn't see all the great work that Tom and his team are doing, we've created Sell Bytes for you every day. We publish 1 or 2 videos.
We love to give the users the accessibility to change assets, but do you think it's good for people on average to be swapping in and out of different coins and trying to catch the pump? Or
so again, Zach plugging in his questions. Here's another example. Camilla, who runs all of our business development operations.
Hey, Alex. Hey, everyone.
So every week we bring you special stuff, and then we create these Sell Bytes that are, we basically usually create them because the community has been asking about it. So if you want to see snippets versus watching a 2-hour show, a lot of people there's too much for them. Definitely use the Sell Bytes. And if you see something interesting, you want us to create a Sell Byte about a topic, all of that is also searchable. So if you go to celsiushub.com, you can actually also search by content, and have all these things will come up for you as well. All right, so
those are amazing.
Yep.
I was just going to tell you, those are amazing because I know of many people who take those and just share them. That's what I've been doing with people who have questions, friends, family, take those little Sell Bytes and forward those on to them.
That's right. Okay, great. So let's hit, we'll do the Oh, before we do the questions, the rapid fire, and all this hiring that Trunshedda did. Zach, what are the stats? Let's talk about customer service and what's happening with open tickets, because I know a few weeks ago there were a lot of people complaining that we were not responding fast enough.
Yeah,
Right,
and while he's
so
pulling
this
those
is-
up, I just wanted to share, we had those 18 people who started like last week are a part of customer support. And we have another 14 that we're going to bring on just to help with all of this. And we're doubling our staff and our resources everywhere so that we can respond to those tickets.
Yeah. I've been hiring 15 community managers. They're in the pipeline now. So really, we saw this issue. We apologize for getting behind, but we are catching up now. And the updated stats are we've reduced untouched tickets by 65% from 14,200 to 4,900, and have reduced unsolved tickets 53% from 19,000 to 8,800. So this has been a huge priority in the company. We've made massive progress in these past 2 weeks. Thank you everyone for your patience, but we are all over this.
And we've done this while growing at the fastest growth that we've ever had, right? So latest stats on growth, you want to hit those numbers?
So in terms of, for example, at the end of the year, I said we were at like about 99 direct employees, but then as of today, we're over 150. And that's just direct employees. That doesn't include all of our contractors. So you're talking about we're at 200 easily and continuing to grow really fast.
Right, and
And on top of that,
last week,
community.
we had the 26,000 registration and 1,400 new loans issued, 67 million of new transfers. So these are all-time record highs. So it's one thing to grow 10x, right, like we did during 2020. It's another thing to grow and be able to improve your stats and lower the waiting time and so on. But we're aiming to go back to where we were last year, where we responded to every one of our users within 24 hours. So we're not there yet, but all this hiring and training is going to get us there. Also, this new app that we just launched, 4.8, has a bot built into it. So definitely update, and a lot of your questions, I would say 80% of your questions can be answered by the bot. And that will save a lot of the kind of Q&A and the stuff that will clog the customer service process. So definitely use it. All right, let's dive into questions because we only left less than half an hour for the community. So let's do rapid fire. We'll try to keep it short and try to answer everybody's questions.
Boom,
And
boom. Okay, sounds
try to
good.
direct your questions to Trunshedda because she's here. Ask her anything you want to know about hiring or about HR, about anything in Celsius. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's hard to get me pulled out. I'm going to go back into the background after today.
Yeah, put those questions, all caps, ask your question, then be sure to add your referral code. Question from earlier I saw Trunshedda was, on the positions, they all had physical locations on them. Are any of those positions remote, and how would an applicant know?
So a lot of times we put a location because that's where the majority of the team is, or the hiring manager is there, or there's usually some reason behind it. That does not mean that we won't consider you if you aren't sitting there. So what I would say is go ahead and apply for the position and express your interest. You can acknowledge the fact that you're not in that location. If you're willing to relocate, you're interested in moving, you can express that when you apply as well. And we'll take all of those things into consideration.
And right now, where are the main offices around the world?
So, of course, we have our Tel Aviv office, right? And then we have a significant portion of our employees in New York. We have, I would say, about 20 in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We have about 10. We have a group in Austin. We also have a group, it's growing and rising in California, and Ashley is excited about that. We are looking for a director of cards, an expert that will be working very closely with Ashley for a period of time. We have employees in Florida. We have a team in the UK. We have people in Australia. We have our huge team in Serbia. And of course, our customer support team in Cyprus. So we are all over. And like I said, where we have a good group of employees, we try to, add more there so that you don't feel isolated or alone. But we are, be global, remote. We just want the talent.
Yeah,
And
I saw
I'm
on
sure
that.
the people in Austin and San Francisco and Tampa and London and all these other places are going to be very upset that you didn't mention all of their cities. Hong Kong, right? We just hired a few people in Australia. So you name it, and we are planning to go back and work also out of offices. So it's not like everybody's going to work from home forever. So if you love the kind of work environment, we do all the cities I just mentioned. We're going to have offices in them. Tel Aviv, obviously, we have I think something like over 30 people over there right now. New York, obviously, right? New Jersey. So we have plenty of other locations, and we're going to be. So you can choose, I want to work remote, or I want to be part of a team and work in an office environment. Obviously, the minute everybody gets their shots, we can start looking at going back to offices as well. All right, next question.
All right, great question here. Can I apply for a position while being a university student?
Yes, of course. We have a couple of people, well, actually several team members who are working for us, and they're still in school. We try to find the right position for them, understanding that they're trying to work, balance the school load and work. And we have lots and lots of work and projects and things for our employees to get done. So we want to make sure you're in the right role if you are managing a school timeline and schedule.
I just heard the breaking news that YouTube suspended the CoinDesk channel. And I was supposed to be on Banter.
Wow.
On Banter News this morning. They also blocked Ron Nooner channel, the Banter channel. So they're definitely kind of really not doing a great job. YouTube is not doing a great job at figuring out who is the scammer and who is here to help the community. So very, very disappointing, It's suspended over unspecified violations. I mean, it's just crazy, right?
They don't have to give a reason. They just do whatever they want to do.
When you have a monopoly, you can do whatever you want to do. Like who's gonna stop you, right? All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. All right. Question from No Pain. Zach and Alex, what percentage of your net worth is held in Celsius? And I pulled this because I think this is a really question. Sorry, Alex. A question for me is I didn't really have a net worth until I got involved with Celsius. I was broke. I was making $15 an hour, barely paying my bills. It was the hustle, and Celsius got me to that level. So a vast majority, 99%.
Yeah. So I have, I would say all of my crypto assets are there, over $300 million worth of my digital assets. I'm obviously the largest Celsius hodler. But I also have a lot of other non-liquid assets, so investment in private companies and other things that are things I cannot put into Celsius today, right? So, but when it comes to digital assets, all of my assets are effectively with Celsius, and I have some on Coinbase and some other things, but it's negligible compared to everything else. And by the way, before I forget, so because people be like, oh, he didn't mention anything about no losses and so record deposit, record users, record interest paid, right? I mean, that crazy number. That was 367 million or something like that paid. Just crazy number, right? And again, Zach and Trunshedda and everybody else, right? These are all Celsians that hodl. They all earn interest just like you. Everybody's on the bus has exactly the same motivation. We're all swimming and pulling in the same direction. And that's why it's such a great platform, because we're all winning together, right? We're winning by extracting that tolls from the institution. These are the people that usually just rip you into shreds, but here we, the community, 500,000 of us, get to take money from them. They pay us these crazy rates, so all of us could be rich and retire rich and famous, and so no losses, no unpaid loans, and no for liquidations, and record across the board on basically everything we're doing. Next question.
All right, Fabricio is asking, Trunshedda, what are the characteristics for a good customer support employee?
So first and foremost, understanding that the customer is always right. That's first and foremost. And then being able to be empathetic, but also to be able to, you have good judgment, critical thinking skills, and to be able to respond quickly in a way that makes customers understand or know that we understand where they're coming from, and we're working really hard to solve whatever issue they have. I can tell you, I think for the most part, as long as we have someone who understands and knows how to resolve things quickly and they're resourceful, they can get the job done. We can teach you how to use the equipment, just need to have really good people skills and to be able to express those skills over the phone.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we are pushing very hard to resolve all issues in one touch, meaning one interaction. I see too many back and forth, like people sending 10 different emails to try to resolve an issue. So we are retraining, revisiting all of our processes to basically reduce that interaction. So we can really understand what the customer wants to do and resolve it in one interaction, right? That's really our goal. And if you see anything that doesn't make sense, people still send me emails every day, CEO@Celsius.network, which is great, right? Send me stuff that makes no sense, right? And we will make it better.
Right. Here, a question for you, Alex. Dimitrios is asking, Alex, when institutions borrow BTC, what do they give as collateral?
Yeah, so most of the large institutions have a lot of cash, a lot of dollars or euros or whatever currency they're running on, but they don't have Bitcoin, right? So when they want to transact, for example, if they want to transact on Binance versus Uniswap, right? Let's say there's a 2% gap in price, right? They need to have USDT, which they borrow from us, right? We're one of the largest lenders in the world of USDT, and they want to borrow Bitcoin. So they would normally give us dollars, and they would borrow those two assets, and they'll sell on Binance, for example, and buy it immediately on Uniswap, or do the reverse, right? Depending on where the price is higher and lower. And again, they don't do this manually. They have machines everywhere, all over the world, who are firing thousands of transactions a second, and they are the big guys. They are the whales who can basically pay $50, $60, $100 to force their trade through, because they want to capture that price gap, and that's worth, I don't know, $20,000 for them for that one transaction. So for them to pay $50 or $100 for it is nothing. What we do is we lend them the Bitcoin and USDT. They give us dollars. We hold the dollars. When they return those assets, we give them the dollars back. Next question.
All right. Question here, Trunshedda, why is Celsius registered in the UK if most of you are based in New York?
So actually, we're not mostly based in New York. We have many more people in other places in New York City. Mm-hmm. But go, Trunshedda, you can answer all the.
All of it. Why are we? What was the question?
Why are we based?
Yeah, why are we registered in the UK? So the main reason for UK registration is that UK law is currently probably the most friendly jurisdiction for crypto. So if you've seen us, we've registered with the FCA. The FCA is like the regulator in the UK. They're equivalent to the SEC in the United States. We also registered with the SEC. We did a Reg D registration with the SEC, but we did a full application with the FCA, explaining to them our business and everything else, and getting a provisional license to do all the services we provide. We didn't want to be on some Seychelles Islands or some small offshore things. You see a lot of projects, a lot of companies, a lot of exchanges operate from these obscure countries or jurisdictions. And that usually means that their business would not qualify in a country like the US or the UK. If they came with that business model of liquidating their customers and charging crazy fees and not being transparent about pricing, and they applied with the regulator of that country, they will not be allowed to operate. Actually, the UK specifically instructed anyone who's doing derivatives, right? And all these people that give you leverage, allow you to buy 10-to-1 leverage, blah, 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 go long, go short. All of that right now is illegal in the UK, right? You cannot do any of those things in the UK. So Celsius has chosen a business model that always acts in the best interest of its customers. And that's why when we talk to regulators and they understand what we're doing, they actually like that. They want to see responsible companies who are doing the right thing for their community, because the regulator's job is to protect the little guy, not to protect the institution, right? And that's exactly what Celsius does, is protect the little guy. Next question.
All right, Carlos is asking, considering what happened with the forced liquidations in Nexo, how is Celsius handling flash crashes?
Yeah, so look, first, we don't provide high LTVs. Nexo makes money liquidating it, right? Celsius has no incentive to liquidate you. We don't make any money. We don't charge any fees. We don't try to give you these gimmicks or special rates or these like, oh, here's a credit limit, borrow as much as you can, and boom, like the Bitcoin or Ethereum drops and you find out that your Ethereum got sold at $800 on Nexo. Right. Even though it was trading at $1,400 or $1,500, that was the low for the day. They decided that they can decide what the price is. So Celsius doesn't. I mean, our goal, our mission, is to make sure that we have you as a customer for life. Now, what are the chances that you're going to stick with us if we liquidated you, right? So we do most of our loans are 25% loans or 33% loans, right? We discourage you from taking 50% loans because that is much higher risk, right? So Celsius did not have any liquidations because we give you plenty of time. We give you advance notice most of the time. Then we tell you, hey, you can put more collateral. Go ahead, put more collateral or return some of the dollars or the assets back. And because of that, we almost have zero liquidation. I think in the history of the company, we probably had less than 20 retail liquidations because that's not our business. It's the opposite of our business. Next question.
All right. Luis is asking, can Celsius employees get paid in crypto, cell token, or otherwise?
So we have a total compensation package that does include a combination. You have your base comp salary, and then we do provide some form of compensation in cell token. So there's a combination. We're able to work with it, but we don't provide, as of right now, 100% of your salary in crypto.
And Trunshedda, to add on that, if I was a contractor outside the US, could I invoice the company in Bitcoin or cell token or something else? Is that an option?
I'm trying to think. I believe we have had some situations where contractors have done that, and we've selected or chosen to pay them in crypto, but it's not the norm. It's usually a circumstance that we're having to consider. So it's a case by case.
Yeah, I know a few of them that we paid in cell, and they are so sorry that they didn't keep it. They didn't hodl, and they just didn't believe that cell token is going to go into the multiple dollars range. But normally we pay in fiat. But if you're insisting on tokens and you're outside the US, we do pay in tokens as well. Next question.
All right, Yannick is asking, how is Celsius training the customer support team? Does Celsius need a technical training specialist?
we actually have a really good training program, and it's about a 2-week course for our customer support representatives. And the great thing is we have a new customer support leader who joined us, and he shared with us his plan for training, for development, how he wants to structure the team and the planned growth for our customer support team. But if you're training specialist, I'm going to say go to the website and apply, because I do think that, you know, if you have the skills and you have specialized experience in training customer support representatives, we really want to talk to you. And I saw another question coming back from a student. There was someone asking, Zach, you know, how can students apply? I'm going to say go to that Celsius Opportunities posting on our Celsius Careers website and apply there. And you put in the comments, let us know that you are a student looking to work for Celsius.
Yeah, and careers, the link to careers is all the way at the bottom of the homepage. Go all the way to the bottom. You'll see it says careers. Just click on that. It's right there. Next question.
Okay, Trunshedda, what are the policies when it comes to employees owning competitor and semi-competitor coins?
We do not have an official policy in place, but I'm going to refer back to what we heard Alex say time and time again. When we're looking to hire people, we're looking for people who are passionate about Celsius, our mission, our values, our community, and what we do. So we want you to be, to own crypto. We want you to be hodlers of our Cell token. We don't have a policy restricting you, though.
Next
All right, I
question.
just want to take a shout out real quick to Jeff. He's one of the most prolific ambassadors that we have. He's all over Twitter. Just want to send him some recognition. Fantastic, fantastic community member. If we had 10 more Jeffs, he'd almost be half of one Alex. It'd be really something else.
What?
Okay, here.
James is asking, if you go public, don't you have to put the shareholders ahead of the customer by fiduciary law? So that's a great question. Going public doesn't mean that you're now focused on the shareholder. Not at all. I mean, if you look at Costco in the United States or Amazon, or plenty examples of companies that are focused on the customer, right? So it's not like you go public and the next minute you have to change who your loyalty lies to. Having a great business model that is focused on the customer, you read any business advice book, and that's like one of the biggest and the first chapters anywhere. The problem is that when you're running a public company, most CEOs of public companies have to create more and more and more profit, and they can only think about how do I take from the customer, charge them more or give them less, and this way I earn more money, right? Because they're not creative. When you see Celsius, we announce new stuff almost every week. We launch new stuff almost every week. We update our wallet almost every 2 weeks, right? So the amount of innovation that we've created, again, everybody else is just basically copying Celsius, right? Copying every move. Most of our competitors are watching our show every week to get ideas on how to create new stuff, because they can't, like Tesla said, you know, I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the fact that they couldn't come up with any ideas of their own, you know? So here we go. Next question.
Did you notice competitors starting to do buybacks? Did you notice competitors starting to pay rewards on their own token? You know, them doing burns, all of these things.
Right. Did you notice competitors calling their program platinum, gold, silver? Next question.
Oh, yeah. All right. Question here from B. Quinn. A lot of companies are starting to limit withdrawals or increase withdrawal fees. Do you have any plans to do something similar?
So look, Celsius already paid several $1 million for our community. We are a hodler community, right? So the idea about being a hodler is that you don't need to do transactions, a lot of transactions. So I see a lot of exchanges and other wallets. You've heard Nicholas basically mention that they've done the same thing. Restrict the stuff. What we're focused on is how to convince our hodlers to hodl even more. Hodling was the best strategy of 2020. If you hodl, you made much more than if you try to time the market. And if you hodl and you earn and sell, you've done even better. So our focus is not to take away your functions or features. Our focus is to bring you more functionality, enable you to do more things inside the wallet that do not require you to pay any of these fees. So that's what we're working on. The swaps, the ability to buy, like right now, you can buy in wallet, and it's cheaper to use your credit card actually than pay fees to go to an exchange or to Uniswap or somebody like that, or DEX, and then come back, right? Because you have 3 transactions. You have a transaction to go there, you have a transaction to transact, right? They charge you 0.3%, and then you have a transaction to come back. So for a lot of you, you have to really do the math in your head and say, well, how much am I paying if I'm buying using ACH or wire transfer or credit card inside the Celsius app? Next question.
All right, Todd from the submission forms asking, I'm qualified as Platinum and live in the USA. I would like more information on how and where to get pre-qualified to receive Cell in April or May when it's available to me.
Yeah, so there's nothing special to do. Right now, all you have to do is you need to be an accredited investor. So you either already have that because you've applied to some other participation, like for example, you made a VC investments, or you got a letter from your accountants or whatever, or you can go to verifyinvestor.com. You can get a letter from them, you have it ready. The minute we launch the service, we'll have an alpha or beta, and we'll invite the people who already have all the stuff. Again, anyone who's done an OTC trade is pre-qualified because we check that as part of our OTC process. So if you, this is a great time to kind of, maybe if you want to buy sell, you go to otc@celsius.network, and as part of that, you're going to be pre-qualified for this program as well. But it's coming soon. Again, we're just waiting for the release and the test on the technical side, and you'll be able to participate in the program.
All right. Okay, we'll be doing a few more questions, and then we're gonna be looking for that last power question. But from the form again, in your loan terms, Tony's asking, it says a loan can be canceled at any time from our side with a 30-day payback and from the customer side. Why is that? Why don't you have to stick to the loan terms?
So banks make a lot of money because you terminate your loan ahead of the term. So let's say you took a 15-year loan and you do an early termination. Guess what? They created an early termination fee. You want an extension? There's an extension fee. You have an inactivity? There's an inactivity fee. Whatever you do, you breathe, there is a fee for that, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't want to charge any fees. The opposite. We want to make it, we charge 1% per year. There isn't a bank in the world, I think, that charges 1% per year, right? So we do everything possible to help the community. And I use those loans. I took 1% loans myself, right? I don't know if Zach or Trunshedda took these loans, but everything that's available to our employees is also available to every Celsian. So being able to terminate early or change your plans is part of life. Hey, life is just one giant change of plans, you know? So locking you up for 3 years or 5 years or 1 year is just not what Celsius is all about. So that's why we do it.
All right, here's a great question from Carlos. What do you think will become of Celsius if you were to ever step down? How would you like to see it run?
Well, I'm not stepping down, but look, it's not like we created everything is perfect and we're never going to have changes. So if I'm not here tomorrow, I'm hoping that whoever else replaces me continues that mission of acting in the best interest of the customer, right? Thinking about the customer, doing everything for the customer. And as long as we're focused on that, I have no doubt that the company is going to do well, the community is going to do well, the crypto industry is going to do well. All these things are tied together. So this is not again, if you think I come up with all the ideas in Celsius, then you don't understand how Celsius works. Like, at least half of the ideas come from the community. They don't come from us. The community asks us these hard questions every day, and some of these questions turn into services or features or opportunities that we basically ask ourselves, well, why can't we do that, right? So this is not just about the CEO controlling everything and having his fingers and everything and so on. That's not how successful companies work. So we have this amazing relationship between the community, that over 200 employees and contractors that work for us, right, and the vendors, the networks that kind of make Celsius be able to do what it does, and all that together is the magic of Celsius. And you see everybody try to copy us, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what is that special secret sauce? And they don't understand that it's all about the community. And you can't copy the community. You can't just put the community into a microwave, put 2 minutes, and here comes out hot, saucy community, right? That's not how it works.
And then also, Alex, that's why, you know, when we're hiring people, right, we talk about people who really believe in what Celsius is doing. Those are the people that we're looking to hire as well, right? Because the plan is, and the goal is to continue what you're doing and what you started. Not to, you know, hire people and bring in teams that want to completely overhaul and turn everything upside down.
But if you're watching this and you think you can replace me, go ahead. Apply with Trunshedda and convince her that you are the future top leadership or management of the company. The happiest day in my life would be if somebody would replace me and do a better job than me. It's not like I'm perfect, right? I mean, I make mistakes every day. So, and in every company, there's a transition, right? I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow, but there's going to be a point of transition, and we definitely always looking for talent and hope that talent will come from one of these Celsians that really is passionate about everything we're doing.
All right, well, we're up on time. Alex, do you have any closing statements or ideas?
Yeah, so look, a lot of announcements today. I know maybe people didn't miss them, so let me just quickly repeat what I think are the, one sec, I'm just looking. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure we covered all the kind of special questions from last week. So we did a good job, I think, there. So the big news this week is, again, you can co-invest with Celsius. It's coming soon. Celsius is already using Cell as collateral, and we're going to double, quadruple, 10x that as well. And you're going to start seeing that activity in the treasury wallet or several treasury wallets. The good news, again, the outcome that we're looking for, right? And that's the most important thing, is that you see the interest on Cell token going up, right? That means that we're doing a good job monetizing all that value that sits in the Cell token, as we're using it as collateral, or we're using it for loans, or we're using it to do the things that Celsius does every day. Again, new version 4.8. If you haven't used it, try it out. Great new services in there. And we are on track. There was no slippage yet of all the dates that we announced about self-insurance, the card program, the swap program, and we have a few other surprises for you. So one last statement for the 1,217 people who waited all the way to the end. We have 2 exchanges that agreed to list us. And as I mentioned before, but I think in the next 2 weeks, we will be announcing the names, and we'll start to trade on these 2 exchanges. One of them is bigger than the other, but these are all top names, and this will be the first time that they're adding Cell tokens. So we're very excited about that, and we'll be announcing that very, very soon. So definitely all that is happening. And remember, Web40 is the code that is still out there. You bring your friends, give them this code, share it on social media. We want to invite as many people as possible. Also, we have Women's Day coming, right? We want to bring more women into crypto. And if you use Web40 as a way to, again, give somebody special $40 and teach them or bring them into the future of finance, where we create and always act in your best interest. Trunshedda, thanks for joining us. You're the best, and we're very lucky to have you on the team. And keep hiring 12 to 18 people every week. I mean, that's just, I don't know how you do it, okay? I know how hard it is to hire one person, so.
Well, no, thank you for having me. And let me just say, I'm not doing it alone. There's a team. And I will tell you, our employees are some of the most amazing. Our leaders, managers, everybody is working really hard to bring in really good talent, to bring in people from the community. So I'm just excited to be here. There are no words to really express how wonderful this ride is right now, and how much I'm enjoying it. And I appreciate you all letting me come on. I appreciate the community being so gracious and patient with me, because my kids couldn't figure out what the heck would they want you on there for, Mom. They watch Alex every week, my husband, my family, and they're like, they want you to come on? Really? So I'm going to tell them I was here. I'm sure they're watching, and they'll probably watch the
you're
recording.
delivering on all their dreams, right? You're like now you're like a magic, you're delivering all the magic now by having all these cell tokens, right? So they better behave and do something special for you.
I think my son will probably come home tonight, because he watches you. So when I'm sure he's watching, he'll see me, and he'll come home tonight. He hasn't been here in a week, but I'm sure he'll come home tonight.
Right,
Yeah.
at least, right. We found a way to get him to come home. All right, great. So Zach, Nicholas, Bethany, everybody, Tom, everybody who's helping us with putting these things together. It takes a lot of effort, planning, and collecting all the questions and ideas and all the stuff we do. Thanks everybody for helping. And thank you guys for being such an amazing community and helping us out. And we'll see you next week. And now I'll try to find, there's still light out there.